Number 6, man.
Of the Alpaca Boys.
You haven't been canceled yet?
Yeah. Miraculously. So, since we haven't been canceled, we just wanted to say thanks to the few subscribers that we do have.
They all matter.
Yeah.
Quality, not quantity.
That's it.
We have Honest Tom, Sam Robinson, Bonnie H, Scruff263, who actually loaned us a second camera for a second camera angle.
Thanks, Scruff.
You the man, Scruff.
Matt Workman, Rob Burles, Chaotic Suicide. That's a gentleman.
Has anybody checked on him recently?
That's a gentleman named Greg. Greg, maybe change that shit up. Jamel Tyler and Wanda Diaz. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Really appreciate it.
We really appreciate it. Anybody else checking us out, please like and subscribe.
Alpaca Boys, baby.
And feel free to drop comments, trash talk, whatever you want. I promise you we'll, especially trash talk, we'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do.
Call it constructive criticism.
That's it.
Or call it insults if you want, however you guys want.
We're active on social media, so we participate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as you can tell, we're relatively opinionated.
Yeah. Just a
little bit.
Just a little bit. So yeah, a little bit has happened since we last left our heroes.
Well, obviously, you know, like the free agency at this point is on a pause because, like, Richard Sherman actually captured it really well when he said, "Why would somebody like they're going to go to the draft and they're going to look for a young buck before they look for an old geezer." Not his words. I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but the point being, it makes sense. They're not going to. Thank you. They're not going to. They're not going to focus on these veterans because at this point you're going to. You sneaky bastard. They're not going to be paying top dollar for these for veterans, especially older veterans. J.D. Clowney just got signed to the Browns. So that's an exception, but he even you said it was up to $10 million. I'm sure we'll get a little more details. They haven't fully leaked out yet, but I'd be surprised to see how much is guaranteed, how much is incentives, and the fact that he can still only lock down 1-year jobs despite having that talent. Nobody's denying the talent.
What I thought was interesting. Now the Browns have him, they have Myles Garrett, and they have Baker Mayfield, who were all the first overall pick within a 4-year period.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So
That's pretty crazy.
That's definitely something, like, you don't see that caliber of college player, at least, get put together that often. Like, the Jets did it when they had that run on the offensive line. Yeah. When their 5 starters were all first-round draft picks.
But those were just first round.
Yeah, that's first round.
First overall.
Like Mangold was in the 20s, I thought, right? Late teens or 20s.
Brick was a little early.
Brick was
early.
Brick was 4.
Yeah, I think Mangold was
In the 20s.
22 or 21.
I want to say high teens or low 20s.
Something
say
tells
20.
me 17 as well. I don't know, but yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, and like Alan Faneca, he was a Steeler, right? He was a Steeler first, and then he went to you guys before he went to Arizona.
Yep.
Yes.
So like that was, but again, he was a first-round pick.
Yeah, and it's just like you said, just getting those first round guys together, let alone first overall. Like, there's a reason you get drafted first overall. I mean, unless you're Ryan Leaf, there's a reason you get drafted first overall.
Yeah, I mean, the Browns have had some talent for the
Ryan
last
was
few
second.
years.
He was second. Peyton Manning was first.
Well, he should.
Because Bill Polian made the right choice.
Guy was a crackhead.
Bill Polian or
No,
Ryan Leaf?
Ryan Leaf.
Let's see what they do with it. I mean, the Browns have had a lot of first-round picks the last 5 or 6 years. Like, there was that one year where they had
3.
Was it 3?
Yeah, is when they took Denzel. They took Myles Garrett. No, they took Myles Garrett. They took David Njoku, and they took Jabril Peppers.
No, but Ward too was in the same.
Ward was the 4th overall pick in the same one. Was that Mayfield and Ward?
I don't know.
No, because they didn't have 1 and 4.
No, Ward was
Johnny. No, it wasn't Johnny Manziel.
You sure that
You
Ward
sure
was?
they-
I think
I
they had 1 and 4.
They had
Really?
1 and 4 one year. I just can't remember.
Because it was
the year.
Mayfield, then Saquon Barkley, then Sam Darnold, then Denzel Ward, I thought.
Oh shit.
It was, and everyone was like, "What the fuck was that?"
But
Yeah,
Denzel
I got
Ward
it.
was the
Yeah.
best corner. Like, that was a
Yeah.
surprise to me, but he was the best cornerback and a great pick.
Yeah.
I just assumed the Browns were going to brown it up.
Good
Yeah.
call.
Yeah.
Good call.
But like mainly because also you remember they were acquiring all those draft picks with basically just kind of tanking and assuming, hey, we're gonna get young cheap talent and we're gonna build a team now, and it was a great idea, but you alienate a lot of fan base when you're basically visibly tanking and you're going 0-16 and 1-15. I mean, I feel bad for Hugh Jackson. I'm not saying he's a good coach, but I don't think he is 1 and was it 29? He was it?
over.
1-31.
Something. It was
Yeah.
something.
Because these are 16-game seasons,
Something-
32. So
yeah,
1-31 over a 2-year season span.
Yeah, that's tough.
He's not
That's
that
very
bad.
not good.
But he's not.
Very not good.
Very, very not good.
But he's not that not good. You know what I mean? Like, I refuse. I can't believe outside of Adam Gase, there are not many head coaches in the NFL that are that not good.
I agree.
Because there's no way you get that. There's no way like you stumble into that high of a position, right?
Well, he was good with was he with the Raiders first?
Like
Jackson, he was the
Sam
offensive
Bradford
coordinator
was a con man. That's
He was
how
the
he
head
kept
coach there
his
for a
job for
year.
that long. But like
For a year.
to run the team and call the plays, like you can't be that bad at it. Like Jeff Fisher at 8-8, everybody gives him a lot of shit. Going 500 is not easy. Like that's winning.
So why do you insult Jason Garrett all the time?
Because Jason Garrett's trash.
I'm sorry, but I remember one of your go-to insults has always been the Cowboys will finish 8-8 and who cares? It's like,
Yeah, 'cause the Giants
But
are
if it's
gonna
accomplishment to finish 8-8, then that's not an insult.
Listen,
Yeah, you're contradicting yourself. Are you not?
Not even born to stand up. Don't stand late.
stay in your lane, bro.
Don't worry, I'll get you later on.
No, so Jason Garrett going 8-8 is because he had the talent to go 10-6, 11-5.
Oh yeah, that Cowboys
Like,
team.
so
was...
going 8-8 when you have the talent to do better than that
Yeah.
is not an accomplishment.
Rex
No,
Ryan,
like,
Rex
Jeff
Ryan went
Fisher-
8-8 with Geno fucking Smith as his quarterback.
Yeah, that's
Oh
an
my
That's
God.
that's an
coaching.
accomplishment.
He went to 2 AFC championship games with Mark Sanchez.
Yeah.
The man
he
who
told
literally
Mark
caught
told
pink
Mark
eye
Sanchez-
and fumbled the ball in the same moment.
He told Mark Sanchez to keep the ball and hit the first hole he saw. And then
And,
after the play, he said, wrong hole. That's the wrong hole.
Was that Damian? Was that Woody or was that Brandon? That was Brandon Moore. I think it was Brandon Moore's butt. So Brandon Moore will be forever famous for not just being, in my opinion, no offense, Brandon, you were the 5th best offensive lineman on that line. That's more of a praise to the other 4 guys than indictment on Moore. But his butt is going to be down in infamy. Like that should be in the Hall of Fame. There should be like a.
Just a bust of his ass.
Oh, I'm thinking like
they did
bronze
an
butt
ice statue of Mark Sanchez run into his ass. When
Did
they
they?
did a segment on it.
Oh
yeah,
my
ESPN did it.
Oh my God.
I'll send it to you guys.
No, didn't
Like, we're
they
gonna get
retire it
eventually.
from
That has to be
ESPN too?
one.
They retired the clip from ESPN.
I don't know if they
Is
did,
that-
but
was
I
that
know
like-
there's a fucking ice
Was that
stat or cutout of it. Yeah.
Was that a condition in order for Mark Sanchez to work for them? He's like,
Yeah,
I'll
you-
work for you guys, but you gotta stop showing that clip. You can talk about it, but stop showing it.
Mark Sanchez's podcast is awesome.
Mark Sanchez,
Forever.
he's great.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Josh Allen was on it
awesome.
last year, I think it
What's
was,
the name of
and
it?
like
Fourth and forever.
it's all it's
And
really
he
good.
just sits there in a cowboy hat
And they open up
and
to him.
like dissects film. Yeah.
No, but his guests also really open up to him, and like those are the best podcasts.
Yeah.
Like there's an Up and Smoke one with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson from the NBA.
I really,
Or
I
like
really
the barbershop
hotboxing.
one.
Yeah.
I really like hotboxing with Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I commented on one of Eben Britton's statuses, and he commented back.
He was just
I
on.
was blown away.
he
Was
was on
not
Jalen and
expecting that
Jacoby
at
today.
all.
He was on
Crazy how
Jalen and
people are-
Jacoby today.
Was he?
Yeah.
Nice.
He's a diehard Knicks fan, a diehard Jets fan. He's cautiously optimistic about the Knicks, and he has no clue how to fix
Who
the
was
Jets
this?
and doesn't seem to have
Who was
faith.
this? I didn't hear what.
Eben Britton.
Oh, Britain. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing he's not the GM, because if he has no clue how to fix it, that's not a job that he should be in.
I saw Woody Johnson posting something on Twitter the other
He's
day.
been-
These are the
And I
Ever
was,
since
and I was
he's
like,
been-
just shut the fuck up. Just
He's
shut
posting
up.
videos of the Jets winning playoff games from 2010, right? Right?
No, but he's also saying, asking the fans who they want the Jets to pick at 2 and 23.
He
The
thinks
first
he's
round.
Steve. He thinks he's Steve Cohen. now.
Cohen, yeah. Cohen came
I
up
thought
to
he
the
thinks he's
scene.
Vince McMahon.
He was very active on Twitter.
Yep.
Was he? But Steve
Cohen-
Cohen's also a billionaire. He's allowed to be.
Yeah. Well,
Wasn't
so
Steve
is
Cohen the
Johnson,
hype
but-
man for Microsoft? Isn't he like the guy who came out and got all crazy
No.
during one of the product reveals?
Was
Wasn't
he?
that him?
I don't know.
No, it wasn't
I just
him.
know he made a
I
lot of
can't-
money. in
The guy who
stock
bought the
market.
Clippers.
That's
Oh,
after
Steve
the
Ballmer.
racist hand job guy
Steve
had
Ballmer?
to sell it. Yeah.
Yeah, Steve Cohen's the owner of the Mets.
Ballmer is the
Oh.
Clippers.
Okay, that's the
They
guy.
both have a Steve, so it's a pretty unique name.
Rich white guy. Come on.
Yeah, they do blend all together, and they own a sports team.
Yeah.
But
Oh man.
well, you know who is responsible for the Jets though, and that's Joe Douglas.
Yep.
And so obviously, I feel like at this point it's almost you can write it in pen, you can write it in blood, whatever you want to write it in. But it seems like Trevor Lawrence is going number 1 to Jacksonville, and Zach Wilson is going number 2.
What
to
it
the
seems
Jets.
like, I mean, the Jets were at Ohio State's pro day today, so I don't know if that says anything
That's
different.
just due diligence.
Due diligence.
Were they at the first one?
Yeah, I think they
So
were.
they went to both.
Yeah,
That's a noteworthy one because like sometimes you go to just one, you're like, okay, I got my thing, or you miss the first one, you're like, okay, I got it. I want to at least just see the ball come out of his hand on the second one. Seeing him twice means there is at least some interest there.
But you'd
Could
see him
be.
twice during the
It's
normal
either
year
Zach
because you
will-
get the combine and the pro day.
But we don't have a combine this year.
Yeah, so go to both pro days, you still get to see him twice.
Makes sense on that cadence, but it's not something like I was looking in. Like for example, San Fran went to Alabama to see. They made a big deal. Like he went to see Mac Jones. Let's just be honest here. Alabama has more than Mac Jones entering the draft.
Yeah.
So maybe he was looking at not just quarterbacks because he has more than just one pick this year. But put that aside. He was at Alabama's pro day as opposed to being at Ohio State's pro day when Fields threw. So it makes sense for Fields to try to make sure he's enticing to other people who are picking towards the top. The other thing being that I heard that this apparently is not as rare as I thought it would be, but Fields is actually like trying to script certain throws and asking Shanahan, hey, what throws do you want to see?
Right.
And I think that's something where regardless of whether it's common or not, I think that's a great mature action to take on behalf of the players.
Yeah.
Because it shows an understanding of
Right.
not just, hey, I'm here, you're here for me. No. It's a mutual
It's like when you're going to your,
relationship.
to your
We're
first
having
job interview and you're like, hey, what should I bring with me? Oh, well, wear business professional attire, bring a pen and a clipboard.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
well now I know what to bring. Hey, what throws do you want to see? Oh, let's see that, wheeling out to the left and then throwing a deep throw.
Well, that's
Can we
how-
also-
Why is that always
Yeah,
the throw?
I was gonna say, we'll get back to that for a second.
No, it's how they're running the second pro days around the NFL. Is they're ran by the NFL coaches. So
Oh,
the
okay.
NFL coaches are throwing their 2 cents into what they want to see. So it's not just this
Belichick
instance.
does that
It's
a
how
lot.
they're, it's
Well,
how
Bel-
they're doing the second pro
And
days.
Belichick's one of the other coaches there. I think, I know Belichick, I know the Patriots are there, the 49ers are there, the Jets are there. I believe
Is
the
Atlanta there?
Broncos are there.
Atlanta there?
I don't know, to be honest. Atlanta is an enigma for me because I feel like everybody wants to pencil in a quarterback, and to be perfectly honest, I want to as well because I think it's the right decision.
Right. The money
But-
doesn't make sense.
Do you remember, I don't know if you heard that the GM and the head coach were on different pages where I think the GM wanted to draft a quarterback and the head coach thought Matt Ryan has a couple more good years in him and wants to draft
Oh, really?
weapons
I
around
I
it.
didn't hear anything of that.
Around that time, something else came out, though, saying that the Falcons, and it's still out there, the Falcons are willing to trade the 4th overall pick. You are not willing to trade the 4th overall pick if you love a quarterback.
Yeah.
Period. So in the
Especially when
second
you're
that
at
they...
4.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So the
because you
second...
can move up easily,
Right.
or you can move back easily, or you could get your guy at 4.
You should not anticipate being that high in the draft going forward either.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. So, but that's where the conflicting comes. Is like that by that logic, you should draft a quarterback.
Yep.
You don't plan to be this high again. You're not gonna have a chance. If you want to, you're gonna have to do a Julio Jones type of trade where you give a lot of assets to get this guy. But at the same time, if you're going to say we're open to trade, like the Jets are not open to trading the number 2. You want to know why? Because they loved the quarterback, whoever it is, likely Zach Wilson, that they have in their sights.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that the Miami Dolphins were willing to trade down from 3, they didn't love the quarterback. Atlanta, if you're going to tell me you need a quarterback, or you're thinking of taking a quarterback, but you're willing to trade
Miami got
the
their
4th
quarterback last year.
Yeah, I know. I was just going down in draft order. But then you get to 4. If you're going to tell me that you're willing to trade that draft pick, I have a very hard time believing that you truly love a quarterback. Because if you love a quarterback, or you
Yeah.
love a couple quarterbacks, you basically behind the scenes say, hey, if my guy doesn't drop to me, we can talk trades. Because the Bills and the Broncos did that when they were trying to trade up for Josh Allen.
Chubbs,
and,
right?
And Broncos said, if Bradley Chubb doesn't drop, then it's all yours. If Bradley Chubb drops, we're taking our guy. Chubb dropped to 5. That's who was 5 that year when we were trying to figure out where Ward was 4. So Chubb was 5, and we didn't get up to 5. We ended up getting up to 7 with Tampa. But the point being, Atlanta, I'm not buying the fact that you're really in love with these quarterbacks because I would not be so open to trading the 4th pick if I wasn't.
It's gonna
I'd
the
be a
first
trash
wild card
GM
in the
because I
draft.
don't answer my phone if it's a number I don't know.
What's that?
I'd be a trash GM because I don't answer my phone if it's a number I don't know. So it'd be like draft day. It'd be like, who the fuck is this? I don't care about my car's extended warranty.
Don't worry,
I'm at work right now.
Gettleman doesn't either, but that's just because he has trouble operating his flip phone.
Yeah.
That should be the first wild card of the draft, though. Atlanta at 4. I really don't.
Well,
I really have no idea what the hell.
It depends on whether you think San Fran is not a wild card.
No, I think you're going to grab one of those quarterbacks, but I don't. I could see Atlanta trading back or just not taking a quarterback.
I could see Atlanta taking Pitts.
That's where I'm leaning.
To give Matty Ice, a Tony Gonzalez like target.
But I think they should probably, if they should take it. I mean, Matt Ryan's not getting any younger.
36 now, but
so
Yeah, but there's
How many more years left does he have in his
so he's got
contract?
3 more years, including this season, and here's the thing that also just confuzzles me, confuses and puzzles. They restructured his deal. So, like, we covered this a little bit ago, but when you restructure a deal, you're essentially kicking the can down the road. You're guaranteeing more money so that way you can spread it out over the duration of the remaining contract, as
Right.
opposed to paying them that this year, and it lets you spread out the cap, or not pay necessarily, it's more like just the cap, because what you get, what hits the cap is different than what hits the players' pockets. That's sort of like I think collective bargaining way that they kind of got around actually being able to operate the way they do. But the point being is that they basically now, I think it's this year, it would be like $42 or so million in dead cap if they were to move him. So obviously that's not going to happen because they basically added more guaranteed money to this year. Next year would be 20 something, which is not, it hurts, but we saw Carson Wentz get traded, we saw Jared Goff get traded. So if you really want to move on, you will. That being said, neither of them have the clout that Matt Ryan has in Atlanta. He's been there since he was drafted number 3.
Brought him to a Super Bowl.
Brought him to a Super Bowl, has been an upstanding citizen as far as we understand.
Right.
A very different circumstance. I just feel like
They also
don't
brought him
restructure.
in to like clean the franchise after Vic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not easy to move on from that guy.
For the
Right.
reason, and not just because of his successes on the field, but
it's
obviously the turmoil.
like, it's like
off.
what the Giants were holding on to Eli Manning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because he was
Because
Eli.
he was, yeah.
But Matt Ryan, would you argue that? I would argue that Matt Ryan now is better than Eli was when he had
At
2-3 years left in his.
So I think-
yes, I agree
I
with
think
that.
Eli needed better blocking. It's hard to ask an aging quarterback to stand in the pocket knowing he's going to get hit. Like, you expect him to do it because he's been doing it for so long. But
and
like,
not getting hurt.
yeah, when you're getting up there, like, we're 33. You're trying to have Aaron Donald hit you 5 times in a game.
I don't want Aaron Donald to hit me.
Speaking of Aaron Donald, did you see he punched some guy in the face?
I heard that he hasn't commented.
sure that guy had it coming.
I'm sure he did.
I'm
too.
sure he did.
You don't pick on Aaron Donald.
And Aaron
It's a
Donald
bowling ball with bowling balls attached to it, his arms.
And Aaron
bowling balls
Donald
attached
has
to
so
his
much to lose, right? He hasn't gotten in trouble yet. This is like a first instance.
Yeah.
Do you,
There's
So
gotta
what
be
do you
something
think
to this
pushed
story.
him,
It
like-
seems like the guy fucking deserves
it wouldn't surprise me also if this guy was fucking with Aaron Donald,
For
and then
sure.
one of
Just
Donald's
to have-
boys jumped in and beat the
Oh.
crap out of him, and the
Yeah.
guy is going to drop names because that's the way you get famous.
Yeah,
You
he's
basically just
he's
get
heckling
involved with
Aaron
people who are
Donald, and
famous.
Aaron
Yeah.
Donald's personal security steps in and says,
And-
"Hey, buddy, stop it."
Did you see a picture of the guy's face?
Yeah, it looks like he
Yeah.
fought Kimbo Slice.
Oh, is that bad?
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
dude,
yeah.
his eye, it's like up here and down here have swollen over the guy's eye.
Don't
and
get me
it
wrong,
looks like
Aaron-
it looks like a clam
Don't
on
get
the
me
side
wrong.
of his face.
Don't get me wrong. Aaron Donald's very capable of that. I feel like
He does
he's.
punch people with helmets on.
But he had, off the field, he has not given me any reason. Well, first off,
Yeah.
in this country, you're
I
innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, I never
Yeah.
heard
But
anything
more
off
importantly,
the field.
outside of that, you kind of. Wait, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I was saying I never heard any problems with
It just
him off
can't-
the field.
Yeah.
yeah,
So when this break today?
Today.
right. Like
Yeah.
if it's
saw
like,
a couple
oh, did you
hours
see
ago.
what Joe
I saw
Mixon
some
did
go
to that
across the
guy?
phone.
It's like, ooh,
That's on
Joe
video.
Mixon.
Girl.
No, I'm saying if
He did, no,
if
he
he-
did that to a girl.
I know that. I'm saying
Hill.
if he did it again, the footage comes out today or a picture comes out today. Damn, Joe Mixon fucked this dude up in a McDonald's. Can you believe that?
Yes.
Yeah, I can believe that. But like Aaron Donald,
I can believe that he caused that he can cause that type of bodily damage. I don't think he did.
yeah.
Because, I mean, look at him. He absolutely... Maybe that's like a warning from him.
Where do you
I've
think-
seen what he does to grown men in pads. So,
Do you think Matt Stafford really takes the Rams to the next level this year?
No.
offensively, yes. Defensively, no. The problem is...
Well, how's he gonna do it defense?
the problem is they lost defensive pieces. They lost defensive pieces.
Who they lose?
They lost Jones, the safety, and they lost
he's
their
good.
number 2 corner. And those guys were... Hill. I forget his first name.
Where do you go? Do you know?
AJ
Browns.
Bouye is
The Browns
with,
got the corner.
Sam Darnold now.
The Browns got the corner,
AJ
and they both went. The safety definitely went to the Browns.
Wait, the Jets got LaMarcus Joyner. I know he was on the Rams at one.
He was he came from the Raiders directly though.
Raiders, yeah.
But no, at least one went to the Browns, if not both. I know the safety Jones went to the Browns. The Browns defense the Browns straight up are scary. The Browns are a problem.
They want to trade Beckham, do they not?
Not just a lot of talent, but they play football like that old school. We're gonna run the ball incredibly effectively. We're gonna throw the ball. We have weapons, so we can throw when we need to. Like we saw Baker go off for like 500 yards and 5 touchdowns in that one game, kind of thing. So he can sling it. We know that. And that defense, which was their bit of a problem, the linebackers is still a bit of an issue, but they bolstered that secondary and they gave a threat opposite Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
Controversial opinion about the Browns. Myles Garrett should not have been suspended for hitting Mason Rudolph with his helmet. There's already a rule on the books. If you use your helmet as a weapon, it's a 15-yard personal misconduct penalty. And that's it. It's a Lyle Alzado rule. Because he ripped the guy's helmet off and threw it at him, and there was no penalty.
Well, he did it because some.
I wonder why Lyle Alzado got angry and ripped someone's helmet off. But, there's already a rule on the books. So why did they have to go above and beyond?
Because they don't want that to continue happening.
Right, it just happened a second time. If you make a rule after the first time, Lyle Alzado.
Yeah, but
if you're telling me Lyle Alzado does it, we find him. So nobody else will do it. And then Myles Garrett not just throws it, but straight rips it off another man's head and clubs him with it. Obviously, the fine...
Yeah, 15-yard penalty.
Obviously, that didn't
I really disagree with the...
They much rather take face mask penalties.
See, Bourne doesn't even think there should be a penalty.
No, I'm going to say you're wrong on that.
I think he needs to be suspended because otherwise that shit's going to happen.
You're allowed to have your opinion.
No, I disagree with you. There you go. Yeah. Well, I said it before that. That's you know what I'm saying.
But then we wanted to take it a step further.
Really? My point is, there's already a rule on the books about it. So why not just enforce the rule?
Because
on the books?
because they have to make an example
the mentality.
The last time it happened was 20 years ago.
The mentality of it's working, so it doesn't.
It hasn't happened again before that.
The mentality of it's working, so it doesn't need improvement is a very dichotic conversation because there are many ones where it's like if it's working, why? If it's not broke, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But at other times, it makes sense where it's like just because you're not you can advance it. You can always improve on something even if it's good. Like if somebody gives you a good beer and then all of a sudden they're able to improve on it, are you going to say, how dare you? No. You're going to say, thank you for that better beer, and you're going to drink as many of them until you pass out and probably do it again tomorrow.
It looked that bad, man.
Yes, Bud Light Platinum. Bud Light was like, yo, you like our Bud Lights? Not really. Well, how would you like a shittier beer, equally shitty beer that gets you drunker? And we all were like,
yes!
Yes! Drank those before every adult soccer game that we had. Hal and I would pound those and then bam.
Yeah, didn't you blow your knee out?
That was not during one of those games. During one of those games, I thought I was one of the best players on those fields.
Keyword
Pele. ACL?
No. It was more like a dislocation and then a pop back in. And so what happened was it kind of chipped a little bit of the cartilage on the inside when it popped back in.
You popped it in, or the?
It popped back in when I was in such shock and adrenaline that when I fell and collapsed when it popped out, I got back up and tried to continue to play. I was like, no, it just buckled. I'll be fine. I took a bunch of steps, wasn't able to do anything, had to get carried off. But I guess it popped back in. Oh. It's really all speculation, honestly, because I don't know what happened. The doctors looked at X-rays and whatnot. Were like, we think this is what happened. I'm like, you went to medical school to think?
You also
you went to medical school to tell me.
To practice for a reason.
Practice supposed to be perfect.
You were also in a foreign country, literally halfway
around the world. That was the second time. The first time was right on Sabella Park. It was in Sabella Park playing soccer. The second time was judo in Israel, which. To be honest, I actually trusted that Russian doctor.
Russian doctors in Israel.
I brought a Russian girl, one of the girls that was on my program who spoke fluent Russian with me because I could not talk to the doctor. So I had to, even through Hebrew. His Hebrew was as bad, if not worse than mine, and mine wasn't good. So I basically had to tell this girl what I wanted in English, and she would tell him in Russian, they would talk back, and it was like one of those translator situations. And when you are unable to walk in a foreign country, this is not where you want to find yourself.
Right.
One of the downsides of socialized medicine. You can't understand the doctor.
That's true. On the bright side, though, I never had to pay for anything.
Fucking delicious.
It's almost gone, I should tell you. No, but so one other point I wanted to make before we drop off the Kyle Pitts
ice cubes on deck.
The
Kyle Pitts thing, I thought. So the interesting part is that I'm blanking right now on the head coach's name. Arthur Smith, who came from Tennessee over to Atlanta.
Right.
The offensive coordinator came over.
Right.
Obviously, now part of it is maybe he's just a very good offensive coordinator and adjusted his scheme based on the personnel that he had, or maybe he really likes this type of scheme and having many tight ends is beneficial because they ran 3 tight end sets more than anybody except for maybe Baltimore. Maybe they was the 2 of them kind of battling. But nobody ran 3 tight end sets really like those teams. So you come over to a team where they...
Henry too.
What's up?
They also had Derrick Henry.
Well, don't get me wrong. I definitely think that they would love to be able to like trade back up into the first and grab Najee Harris. Because if they can walk away with
Maybe
like
with Buffalo.
Ooh.
we can get to that in a second. But if they can walk away like, oh, you mean trade up with Buffalo to get Najee Harris, or Buffalo takes Najee?
Use their 4th, and then Atlanta trade back into the 1st to get Najee
That's something
Harris.
that I'm thinking like what Buffalo would want to do if they can trade down and whatnot.
I would like to see
think
Buffalo take Najee Harris because I've been a little underwhelmed by the other 2 backs they have.
That's fair.
Like,
They've been battling injuries, and our O-line is also honestly tailored more for pass protection. We were one of the best pass protecting offensive lines in the league last year, and one of the worst run blocks. That being said, you're right. I like Singletary because I was a big fan of him in college, so maybe I'm partial that I liked him in college, and then he got drafted to my team. I like Zach Moss at Utah, and then he got drafted to my team, so I'm certainly biased. I'm aware of that. But Moss was also battling injury a bit, and our O-line was subpar. So while I think that Najee Harris would certainly be an upgrade, I question if that's the right upgrade. You know
that's
what I
fair. Yeah, he's a piece for a different puzzle.
So you need a tight end and you need a running back, right? On offense.
That I would say, you know what? Honestly, what's interesting is that I definitely think we can improve on those because I like Dawson Knox. I think he's still got a lot to prove, and he hasn't proven himself yet. But I do like the progression he's making. I don't like the drops and the stone hands he seems to have.
I like when he lines up in the backfield.
I like that.
I think
I like when he stiff arms people. Like he is just obviously a more grown man than they are, even though they're the same size as him.
And he's 22.
Yeah. I like Jacob Hollister that we brought over because he played with Josh. Not just because he played with Josh
Under
Allen
the radar
Wyoming,
signing.
but that is an under the radar tight end
He's
signing.
in Seattle, right?
Yeah, he was a crucial part to their team.
So that-
he won me money on DraftKings.
Nice.
He won me money in fantasy.
So was he crucial on that team or was he crucial on your fantasy teams?
Listen, he produced.
For you. No, the point being is that I think that the tight end and the running back positions for Buffalo, in my opinion, are in those areas where they're good, but they can be improved. To draw it back to that quick conversation we were having off thread. They can be improved, but they're not the biggest problem. The biggest problem last year was our defense. We were built on defense, and 3 years ago, that's what got us to the playoffs with Tyrod and LaShawn McCoy on offense. And then as we transitioned to Josh Allen, and especially last year with Josh Allen completely blowing up with Stephon Diggs and that offense and Dayball really getting a grip on it, the defense took a step back. Now, they were injured constantly. Like, Milano missed games. Tremaine Edmonds missed some games and played injured most of the time. White missed some games. But Star Lotulelei opted out, which people don't know. He doesn't put up big numbers, but he's a very important technique where he eats the double team, so that way Hughes and Oliver and Addison and everybody gets the one-on-ones. And if you can't beat your one-on-ones, then you are going to get leaned out in practice. But like that's but missing those pieces, everybody's missing pieces. I get it. Everybody gets hurt, but that was, in my opinion, one of the reasons the defense took a step back. That being said, it's another year. People are another year older. We've lost some pieces because you can't keep everybody forever. So I think you constantly got to reload, even if they're later draft picks, and trust the front office to develop. Or the coaching staff.
What I was getting at with that question was I was assuming that you would either want to go tight end or running back with your first pick. But if there's a defensive player there that's there, you would have no problem going defense there as well. Is what it sounds like.
Like best overall.
Yeah, so
Caleb Fairley falls
best
to
available.
30.
Right, so like there are certain I actually probably have a mental list. I'll run through them through the positions if you want. That if they're there at 30, ahead of Najee Harris, because Najee Harris is like an enigma. Him and Etienne. If they're there at 30, I am going to really consider taking them if I can't get a good offer to trade back.
Over like Pat Freiermuth.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. But, like, for example, cornerback is one position on defense that I would look to upgrade. So if Caleb Farley... I'm talking about guys who might not even drop. I'm just going to name the guys that I'm willing to take at 30 if they somehow do. Caleb Farley,
Newsom.
Greg Newsom, Patrick Surtain, obviously, who's not going to drop, and J.C. Horn, who's not going to drop.
What about Stokes?
Stokes is a very interesting one for me because I personally like him. I also know that I have a bias for Georgia, so I try to factor that into my assessment.
Right.
But
So remember what happened with the last first round Georgia D-back?
yeah, he went to the Giants and
It's no longer with the
Funny,
He's no longer with the team.
humorously enough, he was also the 30th overall pick. The last 3 30th overall picks have been cornerbacks. It's been
That's-
Mike Hughes to Minnesota 3 years ago.
He's
2
good.
years ago was DeAndre Baker, and last year was
Baker. That was his name. Yeah.
Minnesota was it? What's Minnesota's kid? The guy who's now in Gladly. Was it Gladly? No, Minnesota didn't do both of them. There's an. Oh,
I
man,
thought
I'm
he was a
blanking
second
on it.
round pick. Gladly.
No, he was a first, but he was a little bit before. I'm blanking. I'll remember at some point during this episode, but the most recent cornerback last year, or I'll look it up during our break,
Hopefully Farley
was
drops that.
All right, so you won't go as low as Stokes, but the other was a
Stokes.
4?
I think
Yeah.
Stokes is in that bucket. Stokes is in that enigma bucket with the running backs. I would put
Okay.
it honestly. D end is the other position that is very curious for me because the way that I view it personally, I've got Phillips and Aziz Ojolari
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
over the other two by a relatively decent margin. In big part because I did not like what I saw from Gregory at the pro day. I know I mentioned this before, but this is your biggest job interview of your life, and that's how you prepare for it. It doesn't
Yeah.
excite me about
Yeah.
your professionalism and your work ethic. I'm not saying that he can't. I'm not saying that the tools aren't there and you give him the right environment, he can't succeed.
First impressions.
Yeah.
For sure.
And that was the
Jakai
first, and we
Polite,
haven't seen him play for a year.
Right?
Yeah.
And
What?
Sort of like Jakai Polite. I mean, a guy was produced
God.
for the
he was projected a
Gators.
first round pick.
Didn't do very well in his fucking pro days, and I don't even think he was at the combine, was he?
I don't think it was.
I don't remember,
But
but
boy,
I
they
mean,
got his.
that's how he
got
ended
rid of
up
his
dropping
ass
to the
quick.
third round.
And I thought that was a
He didn't
steal.
even make it out of the fucking preseason for the
No.
Jets.
I thought that was a steal when
Like
you
he
got
was
it.
So
that-
everybody did.
He was that much of an asshole in the locker room.
Couldn't even
too.
fucking
Yeah.
make it out of the preseason.
So that means something.
Yeah.
But like,
And
so,
the same. Then he went to Seattle, and the same thing. I don't think he ever played.
No.
no, is he even in the league anymore?
No.
I don't know.
Maybe he's one with the extended practice squads and being able to have veterans there. Maybe he's there.
Maybe him and Josh Rosen are hanging out.
Maybe. Well, Josh Rosen's actually on the practice squad for San Francisco.
So the other guy you're talking about is Kwity Paye.
That's where, and Kwity Paye is that guy who, honestly, I really liked coming into the draft season, and I, for whatever reason, have talked myself, I guess, out of him.
Why
to
is
an
that?
extent.
Because I like the guy a lot.
I like Michigan.
Well, he reminds me very much so of to an extent, and he's not the best comparison, but he reminds me of Shaq Lawson because the Bills drafted Shaq Lawson. He was this big guy who could set the edge. He could blitz from the inside at Clemson. He was able to do all those things, but the lack of that athletic extra gear. Like when you come to first round picks, I'm looking for a guy who, no matter how hard in a professional practices, they can't match that guy if he or she, if you want to talk about female sports, practice as well. There's just a natural level of talent that is collaborating with the training, and I don't know if he has that twitch and that speed that I really want because I got burned by Shaq Lawson. And we just haven't had that guy to necessarily be able to be that edge bender. Jerry Hughes was several years ago, and he still is relatively good. I still think he gets held way too much, but that's a completely different conversation. But I'm starving for that edge guy, which is probably why I've got that hard on for Ojolari.
So usually explosiveness they measure by the broad jump. They measure by the vertical. I haven't followed? I like Kwity Paye. I haven't followed him through the pro days and how he scored. Did he not do well in those drills? Do you know?
I gotta look those up, but what it comes down to is I've read a couple things that brought some film up that showed me how he was not always the first or second or third guy off the line of his line mates.
Okay.
And if you're going to be a first round pick and you're consistently the third or fourth person to get that step off, that's what I overlooked with Shaq Lawson. Said it doesn't matter. I love everything else, and it broke. Now again, it's recency bias. Maybe I'm just butthurt from Shaq
Maybe
Lawson.
he's playing hurt too, but I'd be curious to see because those those three things in the three cone too. Those are the reason why those are there is that's how the NFL gauges the explosivity. I guess if that's a word.
Explosiveness.
I've heard it both ways.
I like mine better.
Exclusivity.
We make up words here.
So I just brought it up real quick. Kwity Paye ran a 4.52 40 and had a 35.5-inch vertical jump. It does not say.
Does it give it a percentile?
The 35 is pretty tall.
This one doesn't.
The 35 is pretty,
doesn't
that's
have
pretty good for a
the-
man who's 6'4", 250,
6'2", 261.
260. Okay.
It doesn't have
You know
long
that chart where it's like
Wait,
in a
six,
circle?
six what?
6'2", 261.
That's
chart.
Yeah.
No, it's not a
And then
pie
they have the points there, and they like
Yes.
spread it out.
Yes.
It's a web chart.
That shows the percentile.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And they have a combine historical one, and they'll show you your
Yeah.
comparables.
I'm
Granted,
curious
the
to
people
see
that
what
compare
his looks like.
I'd be.
So the only other stat that it says, off the bat anyway, is that he did 36 reps.
That's pretty. That's pretty.
That
fucking
is
up there.
very good.
And it said that was 7 more than any other Wolverine.
That's great.
So that means that's more than offensive linemen also.
That includes
Offensive
these guys can
like
be
Jalen
strong, but-
Mayfield, who's a first/second round pick prospect.
You can be as strong as you want, but if you can't beat the tackle to get in front of them, you're
I
not.
would say Vernon Golston. Great example.
yeah.
You guys remember that one?
Yeah.
I remember that combine.
What about Brady
I
Quinn?
came my
Heartbreaker.
pants watching him bench press that. That was ridiculous. And then what did he do?
Nothing.
Shit.
And you're right, Brady Quinn. That man as a quarterback putting up, what was it, 20-something?
Yeah, he did like 25 reps as a quarterback. Like, good for you. What does that matter? And then on the flip side of it,
He
Christian
also went to the Browns.
McCaffrey did like
12,
yeah.
or not even that, like 8.
I think he
something
did
like,
single digits. I think he
Yeah.
did 8. And I was like, geez, this guy's gonna break. He's not gonna be able to run over anybody.
And
It doesn't matter if he can run over anybody. He
No.
fucking runs around
I was about
everybody.
to say, he's Tyreek Hill coming out of the backfield, essentially,
Yeah.
with how quick he is.
Not only that, his routes are just like fucking perfect.
No,
He's
he's-
sharp.
Yeah.
And that's something he
Change the
perfected at
direction.
Stanford, because I like the
Yeah.
Stanford offense and granted I was a
Oh,
big
Andrew Luck, yeah.
But what you mentioned also there, and we mentioned the last episode, I think it was, but the 6'2". We looked at Bean and his draft
yeah.
history, and the last two, we've only drafted 2 DNs since Bean came over, and that was Darryl Johnson in the 7th round and AJ Epineza in the 2nd round last year. Both of them are 6'6". We brought in Efe Obada, who's a relatively young guy, but somebody who they obviously want to see how he can develop. And why they want to see how he can develop? Because he's 6'6".
Yeah.
So it
Can't
Guys
teach height.
like-
Tremaine Edmonds
Can't
is
teach
6'5". Milano is that rare one where it's like he was a 5th round guy that we brought in because we were like, that guy can play football. He has a limited ceiling, but he can play football, and he
Yes,
showed
that
that he
him
can
from,
really.
So if
He's
that's
from
the case,
Miami,
then
right?
What's it?
You guys got Matt Milano from Miami.
BC, Boston College.
Oh, okay.
so if that's the case, then Aguilar is probably not the pick.
I meant
It'd
the
probably
Dolphins.
be-
I don't think so.
it'd probably
I
be
just-
Phillips, right? It's Phillips 6'5".
Phillips and Rousseau are both
Are big.
6'5", and they seem to fit it. And if you want to even go a little bit further than that, not Joseph Osai out of Texas, who I do like, but he's a little bit.
Jason Owe.
There we go, out of Penn State.
Penn State, yeah.
That kid's actually 6'5". He doesn't look it.
He
He's a
tested
little bit
well
thin.
too, right?
Oh, he tested out the fucking gym.
No, didn't he run a 4.4 or some shit like that?
Everything he did would have been 90-something percentile for
So
not hit even his position last year. Like he was
I
just.
I
that-
highly doubt he's gonna be available for you.
My
at that.
my fear of that though also with him is that an Aaron Maben 2.0, because Aaron Maben was a guy who tested out of the gym. We drafted him, I think around 10 or so overall. And
Yeah.
that was arguably
I think it
the
was a pick
biggest
before
bust of a
Von
first round
Miller.
pick I've ever lived through, and I lived through EJ Manuel.
I think
who
it was a pick
I
before
proceeded
Von
to
Miller.
Sounds like the
incredibly
Raiders are
drunk
gonna
after
take him then. That's what it sounds like. to
They
me.
need defensive help. So
The Raiders.
I honestly think
Raiders
that
defensive
they'll even take a Koramoah at this point.
I like him, man. I think he's gonna be.
You think so? Because he's only around 200, 210 pounds or so. That's a safety
but
size.
I think he's gonna do well. I think he's gonna be a gadget type of player.
If he goes to the right place, like that's the thing. Is like with these gadget guys, I agree with you. He's
Yeah,
gonna be. He's a great like Jabril Peppers. You could be a great football player, but if you're not put in the right place,
Yeah.
you're not going to succeed. Like if they just let Jabril Peppers be close to the line and return punts like the Giants now and Joe Judge are doing, you're reaping the benefits. The Browns didn't know what they had. They were putting him in center field, telling him to play single high safety.
Yeah,
It's
they-
like,
they
did you
used
watch
That
this
was,
shit?
that was Greg Williams doing that too, wasn't it?
He was there.
He was the only guy not blitzing on that play, probably.
Oh man. So it's exciting. Draft's coming, man. 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about it earlier. If we compare the quarterbacks this year to quarterbacks in recent memory who also went in the first round, would it be worth it? Right?
It's a good point, because obviously, like, we all have this very short memory, right? We're all focused so hard on this draft, these prospects. that we almost sometimes forget to remember that, this draft happens every year and these organizations are meant to last. It's not meant to win the Super Bowl this year, it's meant to win Super Bowls with an S.
Right.
With a second S. So
Super Bowl.
So the idea being, and I think quarterback is a great place to start, especially with the Jets looking at Zach Wilson, and I really do wonder. We're looking at quarterbacks that were drafted over the last couple of years, and we've got guys like Mayfield, Allen, Jackson, Rosen, Darnold from a couple of years ago, Jones, Haskin, Murray from 2 years ago, and then Burrow, Love, Herbert, and Tua. Not in the order they were drafted, just alphabetical, because that's how Excel does it. And so that's sort of like the pool, I guess, that we really want to try to compare. Not just Wilson, but Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields
Mac
and
Jones.
Trey Lance and Mac Jones too. I'm not getting into all the Davis Mills and whatnot from Stanford. Anybody who's saying, somebody's gonna. Yeah, don't get me wrong. That's a great Kyle Trask. That's a great second, third, fourth round pick if you want to turn him into a project kind of thing, and that could develop potentially. They're not for conversation purposes. Let's try to focus on the guys that are first round talents, kind of thing. So
Born.
Looking at this list here, and let's ignore Trevor Lawrence for a second, even though I do find that interesting. But let's focus on Wilson since he's the potential / likely future Jet.
How you feeling, Born? You think he's better than?
Which names would you put above him? Let's start with that. If there was
these have the last couple of years.
These are the last 3 years that we got up here that we listed off for these guys.
Over Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who do you think is definitely better than Wilson?
Okay, Allen.
And we'll let Steve kind of rebut.
Josh Allen.
Jackson.
Well, we're talking about
Lamar
the
Jackson.
prospect, not the player right now, right?
That's a very good point, because if you want to talk about prospect, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson were obviously lower qualified.
Josh Allen was going to be who Josh
Except
Allen.
Mel Kiper. Mel Kiper was actually had him as a top
Chris
big
Sims
board.
too.
All right, so go back to.
I don't give Chris
Go
Simpson
back to
credit.
right before their draft. Is that what
Right.
you're saying?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Okay,
basically,
I would still put Josh Allen up there. I
okay.
would put Sam Darnold up there. I would have put Lamar Jackson up there.
Okay.
Would or wouldn't?
Would have.
Okay.
Let's see.
That's a
So you're
Good
taking
eye,
all
Josh
these.
Rosen?
You're taking all these guys before you would take Wilson.
Yeah, right. If this was one
Yes.
draft class,
Yes.
we're talking. If this was one draft
Wow.
class, and you need a quarterback.
Wow.
Who are you taking at number 2 overall? If let's say they take Myles Garrett number 1, he's back in the draft.
I'll
and he got
take
taken.
all
Who
these.
you take?
Okay, yeah, I would take those 3 guys over him.
Okay.
Let's
You
see.
taking DJ?
No.
Okay.
Haskins, no. Murray, no. Burrow, yes. Jordan Love, no. Justin Herbert, yes.
I
Tagovailoa, no.
I like it.
I really like the Justin Herbert because
I think he's the best on that list.
I
right
really
there.
like Justin
Including this
Herbert
year's
like
draft.
3 years
Right
ago
now.
at Oregon.
Who is?
Herbert. I think
You
he's
think
the
Herbert's
best
number 1 out of the
I think
last
he's the
3?
best quarterback on this list. It's
What,
including
today or
Yeah,
prospect?
yeah, today. Well, today definitely, but before that,
Hey!
no.
He was not in the MVP conversation.
That's
There was
what I'm saying.
one guy on this list that was in the MVP
Yeah.
conversation this year.
Yeah.
Oh, this year.
Lamar Jackson won it a couple years ago.
Yeah.
His offense, Greg Roman, like we had mentioned before, has a vanilla offense. He screwed it up with San Fran. He screwed it up with Buffalo. He's going to screw it up here.
If you were asking me, I was very high on Lamar Jackson. I didn't want the Jets to trade up. I wanted them just to take a Lamar Jackson at 6, but they ended up trading up and fucking taking Sam Darnold.
Yeah, we know.
A swing and a miss on that one.
Swing and a fucking miss. What are you gonna do?
You're going to trade.
I love-
trade him for a 6th-round pick.
I love Baker Mayfield. I probably would have taken Baker Mayfield and Lamar Jackson in 2018 over Wilson. All the other guys know. I'd take Wilson over the entire 2019 first round picks. That'd be Daniel Jones, Dwayne Haskins, and Kyle Murray. I would take Wilson over those 3. And Joe Burrow would be the only one from 2020 that Herbert too, maybe.
What do you mean maybe?
At the time?
At the time.
So I really like Justin Herbert coming out because I liked him for 2
I
or
did
3
too
years
like him,
prior at Oregon.
Yeah,
and I was like,
you were hoping that the
I'm like-
Giants were going to draft him when
I'm like,
if
okay,
he came out.
2018, I get he's not coming out because you have Baker coming out, you have Lamar Jackson
I think he was still
coming
too
out.
young at that point, too.
Oh, that might have been his
Because
second
in
year
college
or
football,
something.
you need at least 3 years of
No,
being
but-
there, even if you redshirt your first year.
But then in 2019, I really wanted Justin Herbert to come out because I wanted the Giants to draft him. Yeah, and then last year he graduated, so he had to come out, and I think that's something that's a little interesting too. The guy finished school before he came out to the draft. I I don't know. To me, that says that he has a good head on his shoulders.
I think staying on the West Coast definitely helped him too, because like he
wasn't playing Bama.
Right. He liked it. Not just that. He liked staying at Oregon. That's why he stayed there. But then he got drafted to the Chargers, who moved to L.A.
Oh.
So now he's even if they were in San Diego at the time. The point is, he stays on the West Coast type of thing. So he stays close to home. He stays close to his comfort zone. I feel like if he got drafted, like Sam Darnold, for example, and I'm not saying that this was one of the reasons, but potentially the kid's a California kid that all of a sudden gets pulled to the Big Apple. And I'm not saying, the Big Apple chewed him up and spit him out. That's a culture shock.
Yeah.
For somebody who's
West Coast.
Like imagine
It may have been, but the guy handled the media very, very well.
It's a tale as old as time.
Tupac
and Biggie, the East Coast, West Coast.
So let me go back to taking Zach Wilson. I would take Fields. For me, Wilson and Fields are almost the same. For me.
Okay.
So I mean, all those players that I just listed, I would take Fields over them as well.
I'd almost rather Justin Fields only because he played against harder competition.
Yeah, it's tough.
Over
it's tough.
Wilson?
Over Zach Wilson at
It's,
BYU.
it's these.
No, that's fair. He played the Big Ten.
It's the extra throws, the decision making that he does, that puts him a little bit over the edge in the potential wise. Like he has a higher ceiling because of these Mahomes type of sideways throws.
So I gotta argue this one. Before I had a point that I wanted to make about
You
your
just
guys'
don't like that
comments.
phrasing.
Well, not just that. I don't like the comparison to Mahomes. We all know
I'm
that.
not
That's well
comparing to
documented.
Mahomes,
I know,
but he can do one of these.
baseball throws.
He can do
Right.
those. Don't get me wrong.
He plays like a shortstop. I'll say that.
I got you.
And I think that's
I'm
more
telling
valuable.
you, he's not going to be able to do that shit that Mahomes does in an actual.
No one can do the shit Mahomes
No,
does.
Josh Allen can sort of, and I'm putting sort of because I admit he's not throwing no-look passes, the kind of thing.
Well, Josh Allen can also hurdle a 6'6" Anthony Barr. Like, let's see Pat Mahomes do that.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. Josh Allen is. There's a reason that Madden
Josh
gets him.
Allen's a
Like,
fucking
don't
beast.
get me wrong. Josh Allen is a video game character that was put into real life, and I'm thankful that he's on my team because now when I play Madden, I get that video game character in the video game.
I made my Madden dude 7 foot, 400 pounds.
But yeah, and hopefully he's playing quarterback.
Yep.
But what I'm interested in here though is that the first off, I think Justin Fields can make those sidearm throws too, even if you haven't seen him personally. But the big thing is, those aren't throws that you want them to make in the NFL. Like when that wow throw, he's like, I'm gonna roll this way and then I'm gonna flick it out that way. That is not that's the throw that you say no.
Yeah.
Except for the few times that it works. And you know the few times that it works?
When you're throwing it to DK Metcalf.
I'm thinking exactly. When it's Russell Wilson, Pat Mahomes, and Aaron Rodgers. That's when it works. Now, don't get me wrong. Could he be one of those guys? Sure. Do I want a rookie doing that? No. You want to know why? Because then it was going to resemble Sam Darnold's first pass in the NFL. And we all know how that went against Detroit.
It was a pick six. Yes, we know.
I remember watching it. I'll never forget that one. Because that was when I officially realized I might be right in saying Sam Darnold's a bust. But
yeah, that was
I'm just
rough.
Yeah, you have a point,
Yeah, that
but
was
it's every situation is different. I mean, if in a pinch, if he needs to do it, he has the ability to do so.
We don't want that.
he also plays a lot of YOLO ball.
Of
And this
course
is something
we don't
that
want that, but it's going to happen.
But that's something that Josh Allen did a lot too, so I'm not going like if you want to say, Josh Allen did it coming out of Wyoming, he can be tamed. Yes, you're right. Josh Allen's YOLO ball that lasted for the first 2 years, he tamed it down significantly in year 3. But Zach Wilson did a whole lot of I'm going to chuck it up on one-on-one coverage, and even if it's underthrown, I'm trusting my receiver.
Right.
And I understand that dynamic works.
Balls
It's a big jump from the college football he was playing to the NFL. And I don't want to shit on this guy because he's going to be our quarterback, and I have to be his biggest fan, but I'm just trying to be honest with you.
No, but Josh Allen did a similar thing. And again, I hate to say Josh Allen's the
T-shirt
example.
from Michaels and some duct tape.
But like,
And he's
all right,
just going to like
how
duct
about
tape number
Carson?
2. Zach
Let's look at
Wilson.
Carson Wentz for a quick second here as a comparison, because I understand Carson Wentz recently, like if you want to have recency bias, or maybe you just want to be beady and you didn't like him from day one.
And then,
He went to you
I
didn't
just
like him
wasn't
from
happy that he went to the
from
Eagles.
yeah. Once he went to the Eagles, you didn't like him.
He also didn't win a Super Bowl, so
and he was it's true.
he's not with the team that drafted him in the first round anymore.
Okay, so
Yeah,
now that we've gotten beyond all of the caveats, the point being, he came from a small school kind of thing, and so there was a lot of doubts on it, but he was very successful for the first couple of years.
Go to the same school?
Yes.
Okay.
That's probably one of the reasons that Trey Lance is getting the attention he is, but also because I think he's that good. I would actually take Trey Lance second if I would actually contemplate taking Lance potentially over Lawrence, but we can talk about that at another time when you guys want to yell at me.
Lance over Lawrence.
Yes. I'm also just
Whoa.
maybe I'm just a hater
And
on Trevor Lawrence.
you're the one who's criticizing me for liking Zach Wilson.
I'm saying for liking him.
Whoa!
Hey,
Whoa!
Look, I love me some.
Wow.
Trey Lance. I love me some Trey Lance. What can
How
I
about
say?
that, huh?
How about that?
What can I say? I love me some Trey Lance. He's
Sorry.
You guys want to do a timeout?
Nah, keep
Halftime?
it going. Keep it going.
Keep it going for a quick second here, because I do want to just at least defend myself quickly before we get back on topic. But Trey Lance just
Let the
Look, he
world
gave
know.
it
let the world know. Look, Trey Lance came. I'm a sucker for pro-style offenses. It's one of the things that got me to be a fan of. That's one of the things that won me over with Josh Allen. Was the pro-style offense.
You just got 3, right? I don't need one.
No.
I'm not doing another one. Can't.
Okay.
But thank you, though.
Trey Lance, I think, if he goes to the right
Steve,
place,
just pour it out of the bottle and it pours
Just
the
pour
weird
it-
Canadian
Just
milk.
pour it flat.
Okay.
if he goes to the right place, don't get me wrong, he's not ready to start right now. But here's what's something that's funny. You know who started just as many games as Trey Lance? Mac Jones. Yeah, we're gonna talk about how Trey Lance. Yeah, he played subpar competition. You know who did? Who else did? Zach Wilson. Why the heck is it so obscure to think that Trey Lance might actually be the best one, two? I'm saying one, but arguably one of the best, if not the best quarterback.
Yeah.
It's not obscure.
No, tilt.
Well,
tilt
the
it
way
a
that
bit
I-
flatter.
The way, yeah.
Little
The
to
way
the
that I
right.
got yelled at
A
for
little
once,
to the
not by you.
left. Yeah, a little to the right there.
Nah, I'm just not thrilled.
Wait! I'm joking. No, I got you. You're not thrilled, but that's also because you're still a little bit attached to the Darnold situation.
Maybe I'm still buttered.
oh,
on that,
yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
good.
But
That's fair.
I'm just not thrilled about. I'm not thrilled about Wilson either. But I mean, we got to go with him now. So
I'll be happy with Zach Wilson or Justin Fields.
I think
I just
I'm
like,
happy that
I like,
you have
I
that
like,
perspective.
I like Wilson a little bit better, but I mean he's not far off.
But like, I'm not trying to sit here and say, oh, Fields is better than
Listen,
Wilson.
best case scenario, the Jacksonville decides to go with Zach Wilson.
That would be the best thing
That's
ever.
what
You guys get
Or
Trevor
just
Lawrence.
as long as they go for anybody that's not Trevor Lawrence, that would be the best thing.
that would be
Why are you hating?
On who? Oh, the
Trevor
bottom.
Lawrence.
It's not that I'm hating. It's just that it really stems from that comparison where you hear on the media where people talking about how he's like Andrew Luck, and he has not proven the ability to command an audible and just mentally process the way that we saw Andrew Luck do
Yeah,
at
but
Stanford.
he's won a lot.
He's won a lot. You know who else?
That's
You
all
know
it
who else
matters.
won? Everybody else on that Clemson roster.
Travis Etienne.
Like, that's something
Isaiah
actually.
Simmons.
You know what? I'm gonna come prepared next week. I'm
He
gonna
won
show
at
you
a young
every
age,
person.
though.
We gotta
Very
look at
young age.
We gotta look up everybody who's gotten drafted from Clemson over the last 3 years, and I want you to see who he's played with,
That'd be-
so that way you
that'd be-
understand just what talent he's
I'd
had.
be-
Cleveland
interested to see
Farrell, Dexter Lawrence were both
And
first
Christian
round
Wilkins.
picks.
That was one defensive
Christian
line
Wilkins.
with Austin Bryant, who went 4th round to Detroit. But that was a
Isaiah
defensive line.
Simmons.
That's just a defensive line.
I'd be
Just a
interested.
defensive line is 3 first rounders. That's Alabama level.
Hey.
Look, I'm not hating on Lawrence. I just do believe that he was inflated a bit by a bunch of stuff, and we're just ignoring it.
You gonna wear your Lance pants?
There are Lance pants?
Yeah, are you gonna wear them?
That's the thing.
I don't know. It seems like you
At
have
the
some
draft.
Lance pants.
If
Thanks, sir.
he has a pants out there, I'll look for them because look, man. Maybe it's also because I'm a Josh Allen boy, obviously being on my team, and
Salud, boys.
he reminds me a bit of Josh Allen. But
Jeez, I'm trying to
fact,
not
nice.
completely block you and the camera while we're doing this.
That should be as illegal as those new, more alcohol-filled White Claws.
God, those are so good, aren't they?
The White Claw surges, right?
Yeah, because we needed more alcohol in those things that already go down like water.
They're so good.
But so there were a couple notes really quickly before we take a break. There were a couple notes I noticed.
Entenmann's soft cookies.
Taste the rainbow.
Send us some money.
Their crumb cake is better.
way to give him a pop right there, Matt.
So you would put Kyler Murray ahead of you said you would put Kyler Murray below
Wilson.
Zach Wilson, and
Yeah.
you said you would put Baker Mayfield below him. Or was it vice versa? One of you
No,
said
I liked Baker Mayfield.
you like Baker Mayfield more.
Yeah.
And, okay.
Oh, I never
So-
mentioned Mayfield. God, going back to then.
Because I actually think they're relatively comparable. I
I
think
would-
that Wilson is a higher ceiling Baker Mayfield. To be perfectly
Yeah, I
honest,
think
that's
I
sort
would.
of what I see when I watch him
I
play.
wouldn't. I would have
Baker Mayfield
taken.
won the division last
I would have taken Wilson over Mayfield.
Well, he had a better completion percentage, and he played with better competition.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
He did. But Zach, and he's also smaller. He's not as fast.
He
I
was
don't
a
think he has
walk-on.
as good a talented of a natural talented arm the way that.
But personality-wise, yeah, I think they're similar type of guys.
I thought it was interesting though.
yeah.
You said that you would take Zach Wilson over or under Kyler Murray. You said over, right? You said Zach Wilson over Kyler?
Gotta take him over Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's a fucking smurf. Everything
No,
goes
but that's just an interesting one that I wanted to come back to because Kyler Murray being a first overall pick was looking like an MVP honestly through the first half of the season. Did get hurt at some point, but I also think just that cute offense, as Keyshawn Johnson likes to call it constantly, got figured out to an extent. They need a better running back. I know they brought in James Conner, who's not the answer. They need a Najee Harris or ETN. At 16, they need to take a Najee Harris. If they want that offense to click on all cylinders, they got to take him at 16.
You think?
Yeah,
at 16, I think he will be.
Who knows?
But the point being is that I was really interested in that one and to hear your logic as to why.
I just think Wilson has more talent. Just throws the ball better than Murray does. I mean, obviously doesn't scramble as good as Murray does, but I don't want my quarterback.
Lamar Jackson.
I don't want my quarterback scrambling at all. So I don't know. I just like the way he throws better, pretty much. And if they actually protect him, which hopefully they do, who the fuck knows? I just think he looked. I don't know. I just like the way he throws the ball better than Murray does.
Personally, I think being his height and being in the NFL, it's such
And Murray's short. Yeah.
It's like
Such a
you see him struggling to
be
see
really,
when he's in the
really-
pocket.
Right.
We've seen it. His accuracy is not the way it was. Like the offense is designed to get him on the run, which is fine. Like Shanahan's offense runs very similar and whatnot. But you have to be able to throw from the pocket consistently.
It's fun to watch Kyler Murray
wheel
out of the pocket.
You got to try to have a decent.
His little legs go so fast.
It's like a video game. It's like
It's like
and then he hops in like Mario, hops into the end zone. It's a me.
He's like Sonic the Hedgehog in the cartoon.
For what it's worth, honestly, I agree with you. I was honestly, I don't like to admit it, I was a Zach Wilson fan like a year or so ago when he was at BYU. I know it sounds like I'm hating on him at this point, but maybe it's just fatigue because I was like a fan of him before the draft circuit really got their hands on him. But a big part of it also is just, I feel like when I watch Kyler Murray, like you said, it's kind of like the Lamar Jackson one. Can it win? Yeah. And can it be dominant? Absolutely. But you have to completely sell out for it.
Yeah.
And in order to sell out for it at the NFL level, at an organizational level, that's not a 1-year thing. That's not a 3-year thing. That is
it's trading back into the first round to take Lamar Jackson with the 32nd pick so that you get the 5th-year option type
right,
thing.
with still having Joe Flacco on the roster as your starter.
Yeah.
Knowing, and then they tailored that offense. Once he came in, you see it. Nobody runs an offense like that.
Yeah.
They run a very unique offense because of that.
They run the Mike Vick offense.
Yeah, when you have Kyler Murray, you have to run a very specific offense because you can't have him throw 20 times from the pocket. It's just not going to... I mean, maybe you can. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. Drew Brees, I know, is short, but if you watch Drew Brees when he's in the pocket, he's on his toes. His calves have to be so diesel the entire time.
Backing up.
Yeah, he is doing that, and he also has shown that he's been able to do it. I'm not going to assume Kyler can do what Drew can do after Kyler's been in the league for 2 years.
Right.
They draft a player that's such a disadvantage, and for the first overall pick, man, it's not the player I would take.
No.
But at the same time, that's because they got. I think Cliff Kingsbury coming in was like they hired Cliff Kingsbury because he said, "I will take Kyler Murray, and that is our franchise, and we will not only win but be excited."
Yeah, he was like scouting him since high school or
with
something like that.
He's been exactly.
He was like scouting him since high school and like designed the whole Cliff Kingsbury offense around having Kyler Murray as his quarterback. And then just so happened to be in the position to take him first overall.
Well, he took the job knowing. It's kind of like with the Urban Meyer situation. Urban Meyer took that job because he's getting Trevor Lawrence.
Right. Okay.
Like, Cliff Kingsbury took that job because he was going to get Kyler Murray. He would not have been a coach for any other team that year.
Trevor Lawrence wanted to play for Urban
he
Meyer. He would have had the opportunity to do it like 3
Jets
years
first.
ago, right? 4 years
But
ago.
I don't think they were.
I want to say that Justin Fields transferred around that time.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe not, actually. Maybe they were still... No, actually, maybe that was when they won...
So like he didn't get
So maybe Lawrence didn't want to go because they were like, we won with Dwayne Haskins, and then they had Justin Fields in the waiting. So if I'm Trevor Lawrence, why the hell not?
Why would I go here? Okay.
They probably said to him the same stupid shit they said to Rule, which was you can't pick your own staff.
Right.
You got to deal. You got to, and of course Gay said, yeah, sure, I'll just take the job. Do whatever you want.
Because Gase
And the
wasn't
structure
going
is
to
you
get a job outside
both, you and the GM both report to the owner. It's such a stupid fucking.
Yeah, that dynamic I never understood.
Ugh, thank God it's fucking.
Because Christopher
different now.
Johnson is an idiot, So
Well, that was the same structure before Woody left too.
no, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
Rex went to Tannenbaum. Tannenbaum went to Woody. I'm pretty sure.
You sure?
Yeah.
But Tannenbaum and Brooks also had a much healthier relationship.
But those guys were close. They were really
Right, because you need
But so-
there's a spine to your organization. I know we've kind of used this metaphor before, but like the owner, the GM, the head coach, hopefully your offensive coordinator and your quarterback. That needs to be in alignment. And the second that is not in alignment, you have to work twice as hard to just succeed at the normal level.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad it's different now. See what happens.
I'm not. I was really liking the fact that we were starting to look good and you guys were
Not
in
very
purgatory.
not good.
Very
Dude,
not.
I am fucking
But on the bright side,
excited.
Miami screwed up by taking Tua, so we don't have to worry about that.
I'm
for a
excited about our defensive line, man. I really am. I mean, we could do really well this year.
I'm glad they kept Quinn Williams. I was afraid they were going to.
Quinn Williams,
That should have been
John
the one untouchable
Frankenmeyers,
piece.
Foley Fadukasi, Sheldon Rankins,
Carl Lawson.
Carl Lawson,
Arguably, in my opinion, one of the top 3.
and Vinny Curry.
Vinny Curry is a good under the radar signing. Obviously, he's
Yes.
a veteran that's going to be situational pass rusher, but
he's
still.
he's going to play 50% of the snaps probably.
But getting him to rotate in is.
Right.
Can Mosley coming back and being good?
Yeah.
He better be.
If
It's
CJ
that-
Mosley comes back,
He's not going to be as good as his contract is at this
It's a
point,
crapshoot.
but he will.
That's the problem with our linebackers. Now now we're switching to a 4-3. You really need to have linebackers that need to be sideline to sideline.
and Mosley
Yeah.
was
He
one
is
of those.
Well, he was one of
He
them.
was, but he hasn't played in fucking
How
2 years.
is Hewitt? Because like Hewitt, I know racked up
Never did.
tackles, but does he have the speed
He
to go
racked up
sideline?
tackles
I don't know if he's got
because the
speed.
defense was always on the field.
I got you. Kind of like Cuz Leslie for the Bills. I love the
Right.
kid, but the reason he got all those tackles
That's
is
all the
because
only
the
reason.
D-line was so porous
Listen,
that he
Blake-
had to clean it
He
up.
was
Blake
a.
Cashman is
Him and Dante
fucking
Whitner had like 100 tackles.
He was a
basically.
compiler, as
He
Mike
couldn't stop him.
Francesa would say.
right.
Yeah.
Blake
Dante Whitner was
Cashman
great.
can be a great linebacker. I mean, not great. He'd be
He was like a
an
5th round
exception.
pick, right? He's
Yes.
fat. He's got some speed. to him.
Very, very fast. But guys always fucking hurt.
Yeah, he's a little bit
Always
of a,
hurt.
he's a little
Yeah.
undersized.
But
is
he
the
can
problem.
be a great player for the Jets.
The
I
best
do
ability
like
is
it.
availability.
So it's
So
just
that-
the Eli
that's-
Manning man.
I'm actually more concerned about the
Well, he's an Iron
linebackers
Man.
than I
He
am
was.
the corner.
He was.
To be
I am
honest
too.
with you.
He would
I
have. He
feel
would have
I'd
broken Brett
rather
Favre's
take
record.
the
Gotta be able to
if
cover
Yeah.
Wackadoo wasn't.
I'm
such
afraid
a
of the tight
wackadoo.
end thing.
Yeah, it didn't just
Especially
fit.
now.
Now
New
we
England
don't have
really-
Poole.
reason.
The Jets
What was that?
we never re-signed Poole.
Oh, we didn't.
Is he still a free agent?
Still a free agent. And we don't have a slot corner.
Well, again though, this comes back to the Richard Sherman comment we made it before. This is that time where veterans are going to have to just sit until after the draft. We're 2 weeks away.
That's-
Once the draft goes and people miss
That's
or
why I
don't.
like Sean Wade in like the 4th or 5th round because I think he could be a great slot corner that can
Yeah.
cover big tight ends.
Yeah, because like you said, he's
gonna
like
have
6'1",
to
6'2" or so.
Yeah,
Hunter
yeah.
Henry and John.
And maybe that's why we haven't re-signed Pools.
Plus Mike Gesicki, and there were
There's-
some talks where Miami could
there's
take
a method
picks
to
at
Douglas's
at
madness.
at
6
6,
drops.
yeah. When we did the mock draft the other night
No,
at the bar.
if Miami gets Pitts, I'm not going to be happy.
Nobody's
Because
gonna
even
be
Tua will be good with that.
Steve, you saw the mock draft I posted up on Twitter. You guys were there. We did it at the bar. Like the way the mock draft fell, they took Pitts at 6 and then Devontae Smith at 20-something.
Yeah, that was.
It could. I
Which-
mean, the AFC East can really be
Get
the
competitive.
competitive division.
I mean, the
Yeah,
NFC
really.
East was a competitive division last
the
year.
wrong
but it was-
reasons.
Yeah, everyone was garbage.
Nobody could win.
You had some wet garbage over here. You had some garbage that was sitting out in the sun over there. You had the Philadelphia Eagles over here.
Yeah, man.
Hey guys, we got a little cut off there at the end of the video. Just some technical difficulties. We're still working everything out.
What happens
when you have a few
of these, I guess.
Yeah, you have more beer than battery power. Some shit'll happen. Last one, T. Higgins versus Devontae Smith. I really like Clemson, so I probably would have been pretty high on T. Higgins. T. Higgins.
Great party school.
What was that, Warren?
Great party school.
Warren, where the fuck are you? Great party school.
This man is not cooperating.
Uh,
We're running on low budget technology here.
Sorry.
yeah, it's a Samsung
Yeah.
9, my man.
So really quickly here, we're looking at it. It's basically like an AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, and CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson are the only 4 that I guess over the last 4 years that you'd put above Devontae Smith and Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
That means that obviously if he's there at 11, you certainly would be happy if he was there.
Yeah, I'd be
number
happy
5
if he
out of
was
all
there.
those wide receivers.
I'd be happy if he was still there. I'd still prefer them take Rashawn Slater if he's there. I don't understand why there's so much pushback from the Twitter community about that.
But we'll get back at them next week because we're going to cover O-line and show you exactly why Rashawn Slater should be taken.
You're damn right, baby.
And we're going to do it live!